My name is Joseph Mills, and I'm here with Salvin, Harry, and Amrit, and we are presenting as Group 55 on the Bhopal disaster of 1984. On the night of December 2nd to 3rd, 1984, in the city of Bhopal in India, we experienced one of the greatest engineering failures at the Union Carbide India Limited pesticide plant, where there was a massive leakage of about 40 tons of methyl isocyanate, which is a highly toxic gas. Within a short while, people in the neighboring communities had eyes burning and others were collapsing on the streets. And within a short while that same night, we had about 3,000 people losing their lives. And the death toll also increased across India, across Bhopal for the time as years increased. We had about 15,000 over a few years, and you have people still suffering chronic diseases and health disorders such as respiratory disorders and also reproductive disorders. Investigations later revealed that poor maintenance and ignored safety protocols and also cost-cutting measures led to this big disaster. The Bhopal disaster not only exposed the consequence of the industrial negligence, but also reshaped global conversations about corporate responsibility, engineering ethics, and industrial safety standards. Today, it stands as a tragic reminder of how the absence of ethical engineering and oversight can devastate an entire community. I hand over to Harry to take us through the cognitive and cultural biases.
In the Bhopal disaster, several cognitive and cultural biases shaped how decisions were made. These biases affected how engineers, managers, and workers perceive risk, responsibility, and even safety itself. Normalization of deviance occurred when unsafe practices became part of everyday operations. Because nothing bad had happened before, managers started assuming it was fine to keep cutting corners. Over time, that mindset made risky behavior very completely normal. Cost bias was another major factor. Many decisions focused on saving money rather than protecting lives. Maintenance systems were turned off and safety procedures were skipped just to reduce expenses. Financial pressure slowly outweighed ethical responsibility. Authority bias also played a big role. Local workers felt intimidated to question senior engineers or foreign supervisors. Even when they noticed safety problems, they stayed silent, assuming the higher ups must know best. That hesitation allowed small issues to grow into disaster. Finally, the cultural bias led to unequal safety expectations. Um, the Indian workforce was seen as less experienced compared to their US counterparts. So the Bhopal plant operated with weaker safety standards. Uh, this double standard directly contributed to the tragedy. Altogether, these biases create a false sense of security and blurred ethical judgment at every level. They remind us how important self awareness and accountability are in engineering decisions. Now, my friend Ahmed will talk about what system issues were present that allowed these biases to turn into a large scale failure.
Thank you, Hari. In this section, I will talk about the major system issues that led to the disaster. First, the critical system safety systems like gas scrubbers, flare towers, and alarms were either turned off or not functioning properly. This was mainly because of cost-cutting measures, which made the plant extremely unsafe. And then, secondly, there was no proper maintenance schedule. Equipment that had already shown problems was not repaired, which increased the risk of failure over the time. And thirdly, the plant was understaffed, and the workers who were there did not receive proper training to handle hazardous materials or respond to emergencies. This meant that when the crisis happened, no one was fully prepared to manage it. Another big issue was the lack of internal reporting system. Workers had no safe way to report safety concerns, and many were afraid to speak up because they could lose their jobs or face punishments. Also, there was a clear difference in safety standards. The company followed strict rules in the US, but much weaker ones in India. This shows systematic inequality and a lack of accountability in how the company operated globally. And lastly, the government safety regulations were weak and often not enforced. Because of that, the company was able to keep running the plant despite all this risk. So, overall, this disaster was not just a one time mistake, it was the result of system wide failures in safety management, worker training, and cooperative ethics. The next part will be discussed by Savin.
Thank you. So now we'll talk about the lessons learned. With the Bhopal case disaster occurring, many valuable lessons about the significance of maintaining engineering ethics and the consequences of disregarding ethical principles was learned. One of the key lessons learned was the importance of maintaining ethical responsibilities. The significance of abiding with ethical responsibilities instead of one's own morals was deeply discussed in our class lectures. One of the main reasons of the Bhopal case disaster occurring was due to the lack of ethical responsibilities of the engineers and the corporations. The prioritization of cost and profit led to the compromisation of the safety of the site, and the lack of transparency of working conditions was a key ethical responsibility that was disregarded in the Bhopal case. The significance of decision making, risk protocols, and the uncertain levels of project scopes was another key topic that was learned throughout our lectures. This same instance was learned in the Bhopal case as the corporation workers and the engineers failed to properly assess the risk levels of the operation and did not follow through with proper decision making risk protocols and ignored the uncertainty levels of the safety of the operation, which ultimately led to the gas leak of the plant site. Finally, the engineering designs for safety and for the environment are another key lesson that were learned in the Bhopal case disaster. The safety of many innocent civilians were significantly impacted with the gas leak, and the toxic chemicals that were released from the plant site had a major ecological impact for the environment. The lesson of initially planning for the design for the safety of the public and the environment were the key lessons learned, as short-term gains can lead to long-term losses and significantly danger the lives of the public as well as the environment, as this was witnessed with the Bhopal case disaster. I will now talk about some future action strategies that can be used to prevent other similar disasters. The Bhopal case was a significant disaster. Many future action strategies were gained with the occurrence of this disaster. One of the main reasons the Bhopal case occurred was due to the inefficient structural design and ensuring structural designs are met at proper standards is key to limiting disasters from occurring. Another key strategy is the use of undergoing regular facility maintenance checks is key to the overall structural design as well as the safety for the public. Many tragic incidents such as the Bhopal case can be avoided in the future with regular maintenance checks to ensure the safety of the structure as up to regulatory standards. Another key issue is having corporate accountability is another strategy, as this can be used to prevent similar disasters from occurring. Another key action strategy was the ethical leadership, as this was another reason why the Bhopal case occurred. Knowing there's a strong safety standards and ethical leadership in place, as well as well-run corporate support, putting to the workers' safety as well as the site conditions, can prevent similar disasters from occurring. Finally, the initiative of putting strong regulatory practices is key for many similar disasters from occurring, such as the Bhopal case. Maintaining strict safety protocols and regulatory standards can ensure the protection of structural designs and proper worker practices are followed. It is key for many future corporations to follow these mentioned actions, as they can limit and prevent many future disasters such as the Bhopal case from occurring, as one simple error can put the lives of many civilians at risks. So, in conclusion, the Bhopal case disaster is a significant event that reminded many individuals of the importance of maintaining ethical principles, and the decisions engineers and corporations make can have a lasting impact on many communities and civilians. The lessons learned and the strategies presented to overcome future disasters is a serious outline that can be used by others, as these disasters, such as the Bhopal case, can be avoided with maintaining ethical principles. Thank you for listening to our case study of the Bhopal case. Thank you so much.